Hey everybody, this one is called Do It Yourself Form 1020. Now, I apologize. I know a lot of people have been looking for my videos and I haven't done any in quite a while, but I don't want to repeat stuff I've already done, and I need to test things and make sure they're going to work. And this one is one that I've tested, and I believe it's going to work pretty good. And so this one is called Do It Yourself Form 1020. This is a form actually that Carrie on the jurisdiction conference call brought to my attention, and I've been using it, and quite successfully actually. So it's been working pretty good, but you do have to enforce it sometimes. Sometimes they just run away and hide, and sometimes you have to enforce it. And but the bottom line is that Gary says that it works every time he uses it, so I think he's right. Anyways, so I've successfully used Form 1020 for judgments, bank debts, property taxes, IRS taxes, toll roads. I think you can use Form 1020 for any government debt or corporate debt. And Form 1020 is just a number that actually Carrie made it up, but so you can use any old number you want, and so that's important too. There's a case called Brown versus Franchise Tax Board. It's a Supreme Court case in California. It talks about Federal Reserve notes. Essentially says that you cannot pay a debt with a debt. Form 1020 says you want to lawfully pay the debt. And it's impossible to pay a debt with Federal Reserve notes. I have never seen them complete the form. Under Title 18, United States Code, Section 8, obligation or other security of the United States is defined. The term obligation or other security of the United States includes all bonds, certificates of indebtedness, national bank currency, Federal Reserve notes, Federal Reserve bank notes, coupons, United States notes, all sorts of stuff it lists. Checks. All checks, believe it or not, when you write a check, it's an obligation to the United States. Drafts for money issued under, and it's issued under any act of Congress and canceled United States stamps. Okay, so you don't think about this. The checks are issued under the Bank Act, right? And so, I mean, all of that stuff is an obligation of the United States. You think about it, it's right on the money too. Anyways, and then under Title 31, USC Section 3124, exempt from taxation. Stocks and obligations of the United States government are exempt from taxation by a state or political subdivision of the state. The exemption applies to each form of taxation that would require the obligation, the interest on the obligation, or both to be considered in computing a tax. So, that means Federal Reserve notes, folks. At common law, only gold and silver were a legal tender, okay, and that's a cite McLaren versus Nesbitt, which is 1820 court case, but they're citing Book 2 on the Institutes on the Laws of England. That's Coke back in the 1500s, so he was a well-known scholar on the law, and he wrote several books called the Institutes on the Laws of England. So at common law, only gold or silver were legal tender. There's a distinction between a debt discharged and one paid. When discharged, the debt still exists, though divested of its character as a legal obligation during the operation of the discharge. See, and this is what these bankster thieves do, is this is all in the matrix, okay? So when you use Federal Reserve notes, you're discharging the debt with limited liability. And so the debt doesn't really disappear. The debt is not paid, it's discharged. So you cannot pay a debt with Federal Reserve notes, with legal tender. So copies of these documents can be found in my private group at groups.io called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants at groups.io, and on my website. For a complete set of YouTube videos with private information shares, a DVD with over 50 searchable law dictionaries and other books and forms, contact me privately at engineerwin@yahoo.com. And donations to support this work are appreciated. I prefer gold or silver coin, but as an extremely less desirable alternative, I can accept the fake money, the IOUs, the Federal Reserve notes, the military script, the PayPal gifts, checks, money orders, etc. Send me an email for particulars. So this video is not going to be as long as many of them because it doesn't take long to get through the topic that we're covering today. This is the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, located at 48 Stat 337. It says in Section 15, as used in this act, the term United States means government of the United States. The term currency of the United States means currency which is legal tender in the United States and includes United States notes and Federal Reserve notes. So you get it? Federal Reserve notes are meant for internal use of the government only. They're not meant to be used elsewhere. If you use them elsewhere, it's voluntary. This is Juilliard versus Greenman, U.S. Supreme Court, 110 U.S. 432. The forced loans of 1862 and 1863 in the form of legal tender notes were vital forces in the struggle for national supremacy. They formed a part of the public debt of the United States. So, fake money equals military despotism. Forced loans. That's basically when all those, back in the Civil War, that's how Lincoln financed the Civil War, is he printed treasury notes and used the treasury notes to pay the soldiers. And actually other government debts too, from what I understand. But it was mostly paying the soldiers, paying government employees, not just the soldiers, government employees. They all got paid with military script, forced loans, and which was treasury notes. Federal Reserve notes are commercial paper. Federal Reserve notes are a forced loan. Federal Reserve notes are IOUs. All commercial paper falls into two categories. It's either a promissory note or an IOU. And a requirement for a promissory note is it has to have a promise to pay. Gold certificates and silver certificates were promissory notes. And so Federal Reserve notes are just an IOU. So, and what it does is it creates a trust. Some guy promised to pay me, and when he pays me, I'll pay you. That's the fraud in the system today. This is General Orders 100, also known as the Lieber Code. Article 37, the United States acknowledges and protects in the hostile countries occupied by them religion and morality, strictly private property, the persons of the inhabitants, especially those of women, and the sacredness of domestic relations. Offenses to the contrary shall be rigorously punished. This rule does not interfere with the right of the victorious invader to tax the people or their property or to levy forced loans. So, forced loans is evidence of a military dictatorship, a military despotism. That's what it is. And so, forced loans is military despotism. In despotic governments, the government has usurped in a similar manner both upon the state and the people. Hence all arbitrary doctrines and pretensions concerning the supreme, absolute, uncontrollable power of government. In each man is degraded from the prime rank which he ought to hold in human affairs. In the latter, the state as well as the man is degraded. Of both degradations, striking instances occur in history, in politics, and in common life. And so that's Chisholm versus Georgia, 2 Dallas 419 at 461. 1794, I think, is when Chisholm versus Georgia was decided. Banknotes. Banknotes constitute a large and convenient part of the currency of our country, and by common consent, it's voluntary. You do not have to accept them. By common consent serve to a great extent all the purposes of coin. Coin is lawful money. In themselves they are not money. Banknotes are not money, for they are not a legal tender. Well, Congress has passed a law saying they are legal tender, so then the banknotes, so then you can't pay a debt with the banknote. All you can do is discharge the debt. And yet they are a good tender unless specifically objected to as being notes merely and not money. You can object to them. Why do you think I put in there that I'll take the fake money, the banknotes, the military script? I say that on every video because I don't want them. And so, therefore, the taxing authorities don't want to talk to me. They subserve the purposes of money in the ordinary business of life by the mutual consent expressed or implied of the parties to a contract, and not by the binding force of any common usage, for the party to whom they may be tendered has an undoubted right to refuse accepting them as money. Cryptocurrency is not a forced loan. And I recently did a Bitcoin video, and so I've made it available to my Patreons first, and then it will be available to everybody on YouTube. Cryptocurrency is not a forced loan. Anything that can be used as a medium of exchange, anything can be used as a medium of exchange as long as we agree to it. We just need to agree to it. It's called barter. Again, the forced loans of 1862 and 1863 in the form of legal tender notes were vital forces in the struggle for national supremacy. National supremacy, okay? That's in that jurisdiction under the military dictatorship. So there's two jurisdictions. There's a national jurisdiction and there's a federal jurisdiction. There's two of them. And so if you're in the national jurisdiction, it's a dictatorship. If you're in the federal jurisdiction, it's a republic. How did you pay the debt today? If you paid it with Federal Reserve notes, you're in the national jurisdiction. They form a debt of the part of the public debt of the United States. During the Civil War, they paid government employees with treasury notes. Government employees were forced to loan the government money. When government employees are paid with treasury notes or bank notes, it's a forced loan. Both are government debts. Forced loans is probably the single most important thing for a military despotism. It makes it so the courts presume that you cannot pay a debt. All you can do is discharge it at best. Gold is the money of kings. This is money according to Norm Franz, okay? He wrote a book from what I understand. Anyways, gold is the money of kings. Silver is the money of gentlemen. Barter is the money of peasants. Debt is the money of slaves. So you are slaves. When you're circulating Federal Reserve notes, you are slaves. Discharging a debt with limited liability is a privilege. There is a distinction between a debt discharged and one paid. When discharged, the debt still exists, though divested of its character as a legal obligation during the operation of the discharge. You don't have to accept Federal Reserve notes in payment of a debt. The banksters do, of course they do, and the government does, but you don't. Any corporation and government has to accept them. But they'll never tell you that. Discharging a debt with limited liability is a privilege. This is Carlisle versus United States, 83 U.S. 147, 1873 U.S. Supreme Court. The rights of the sovereignty extend to all persons and things not privileged that are within the territory. And then they go into some common law terminologies here. They extend to all strangers resident therein. That's taken from the Bible. Strangers, that's in the Bible. Read the Old Testament. It talks about what strangers are. Not only those who are naturalized, and to those who are domiciled therein, having taken up their abode with the intention of permanent residence, but also to those whose residence is transitory. All strangers are under the protection of the sovereign while they are within his territory and owe a temporary allegiance in return for that protection. The Federal Reserve was set up under the insurance laws of the United States. Federal Reserve notes are quote-unquote worthless insurance script. Anything purchased with quote-unquote worthless insurance script is the property of the issuer of the script. Think about it. Taxes are the fee for using the private money system. It's a private money system. That's why you have to pay the tax. If you want it, they can't force you to take it. So if you object to it and then accept it, well then there's no contract.
But as long as you just volunteer and say, oh yeah, I want those Federal Reserve notes, then that's when they start saying, well, you owe us some tribute. And now with this latest pandemic, are we going to have hyperinflation? You know, I really don't know. But it looks like it's setting up to be that. But I don't know. At the end of the day, you just never know. There's been times when I thought we'd have hyperinflation in the past, and it just didn't happen when they were doing all that quantitative easing. So you just don't know. You've got to wait and see what happens. But we're going to talk a little bit about this because you can at least see what will cause hyperinflation. And so one of the things that they've already done is there's a $2 trillion stimulus package passed. And they're talking about a $2 trillion infrastructure stimulus package. And the communists, well, I meant the Democrats, no, the communists proposed $2,000 a month for each man and woman until the economy is back. Well, that ain't going to happen. They killed the economy. I'm telling you, it's dead. It's never going to be the same again. It might come back a little bit, but it's going to take many years, and it's never going to be the same. So all of the stimulus will be paid to anyone with a Social Security number because it's handled through the IRS in the form, and it's paid to anyone with a Social Security number in the form of Federal Reserve notes, forced loans. Gee, that sounds like federal personnel. So the federal personnel are the only ones that get the stimulus. And this is Title V, United States Code, Section 552A13. Well, that's interesting that Title V is government employees. Anyways, it says the term federal personnel means individuals entitled to receive immediate or deferred retirement benefits under any retirement program of the government of the United States, including survivor benefits. Well, that's anybody with a Social Security number is federal personnel. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at EngineerWin. Don't forget to follow me on Steemit at Sovereignty International. Don't forget to like this video. On YouTube, don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. And on Steemit, don't forget to vote and make your comments. And I appreciate you liking the video and all of that. It's very much appreciated. There's the front page of my channel. The subscribe button has already been clicked. Normally it would be red, and then the arrow's pointing at the bell. You got to click the bell, and then a pop-up will come up, and you get to pick, you know, which notifications you want. And that bell needs to be clicked because otherwise it'd look like it's vibrating. So anyways, back to the Form 1020. This is a form that was developed by Kerry on the jurisdiction conference call that's sponsored by the Republic of Texas. This form is a number, the form number is a number that Kerry gave it. You can use any number you want. And a form is a legal document with blank spaces to be filled in by the drafter. Okay, so it's meant for court if you need to, but if you do it properly, it's all administrative. So here's one that I did. You notice the file stamp in the lower left-hand corner, and it's to the liars at Colleyville. And the Word files are available. I have them on my, let's see, I'm not sure if I have them on my website or in my, but if you send me an email, I'll send you one. Or you can just look at this and type it in. But the Word file is a lot easier, I understand that. Anyways, it says, notice to attorneys at City of Colleyville. An attorney or a private corporation is assumed to know the law. It's the obligation of an attorney or a private corporation to see that any alleged fines, fees, charges, etc. are collected lawfully, correctly, and completely. In order to correctly, quote, pay these alleged fines, fees, charges, etc., Glenn W. Fern requires the following information from attorneys at City of Colleyville. Complete this form and return it to the address you have on file to enable Glenn W. Fern to understand and lawfully comply with this alleged fines, fees, charges, etc. This form raises formal questions with regards to this alleged fines, fees, charges, etc. that only your attorneys can answer. Number 1. Under the caption verdict, what does the number 200.00 refer to? Check 1. Obligations to the United States government, national bank currency, bonds, certificates of indebtedness, Federal Reserve notes, bills, or other. So it gives them, they could put gold or silver coin in there if they wanted. They never do, though. It's amazing. Under the caption verdict, what does the numbers 372.30 refer to? Obligations of the United States government, national bank currency, bonds, certificates of indebtedness, Federal Reserve notes, bills, or other. And then number 3, does the statement refer to consideration of obligations or other securities of the United States directly or indirectly? Yes or no? And this is, it continues on this page. Does the computation of this alleged verdict require consideration of obligations or other securities of the United States directly or indirectly? Most individuals can complete this form in 3 minutes. You are required by law, and that's under international law actually, UCC 3-104 and 3-115, to complete this form. Before any payment may be made, as a private corporation, you're assumed to know the law and not misleading. You made several statements in your verdict to Glenn W. Fern that Glenn W. Fern owns something to someone. It is your obligation to answer the foregoing questions on Form 1020, or a default will be issued by Glenn W. Fern against City of Colleyville, a private corporation, for trying to mislead Glenn W. Fern by asking Glenn W. Fern for something that he doesn't owe, or you don't know what that something is. So as attorneys, you're assumed to know the law. And so then the second page is right there. This is only 2-page form, nice and short and sweet. I am an attorney at City of Colleyville, a private corporation. I've read the foregoing Form 1020 and know it to be true, correct, and complete, not misleading in any way. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. Executed on, and there's a date, and then they got to print their name, and then they got to sign their name and put their bar number down there. They never fill it out. I am just crushed and devastated that they don't, but they just never do. I don't understand why. This Form 1020 must be completed and returned within 15 days of mailing, delivery, filing. Failure to complete and return this Form 1020 in 15 days will result in a default being prepared for City of Colleyville based upon the information Glenn W. Fern has, and the default in your admittance that the fines, fees, charges, etc. that was provided to Glenn W. Fern was in error and or in violation of the law. No other mailing will be needed. Failure to provide Glenn W. Fern with requested information in the time allowed. The attorneys at City of Colleyville are admitting with their silence that City of Colleyville is dishonest. Estoppel arises where a person is under duty to another to speak, or failure to speak is inconsistent with honest dealings. Silence by City of Colleyville will be treated by Glenn W. Fern, that fine, fees, charges, etc. as dishonest dealings, and balance is paid in full. So that's it. That's really simple. And there's the so-called verdict. And so in their kangaroo court in their show trial. And then they start sending out these solicitations. This is outstanding warrant notice. Ooh, I'm shaking in my boots. And more warrant notifications. I attached all of that to the Form 1020 too. And then there's a notice of default and an opportunity to cure. And we're going to talk about that now. Says you are in default in providing the method of payment, and you are notified that your attorneys have failed to complete this form that was filed on 24th of January 2020. This is an effort to pay a debt, and I need to know how to lawfully satisfy this requirement. I have attached a copy for your reference. Okay, so you build a case and you attach a copy of everything and you send them a copy, your proof of service and all that stuff. I've been receiving your threatening mail, which demonstrates that you intend to conspire together to threaten me, coerce me, oppress me, and injure me in the free exercise of my right to lawfully take care of this matter, since you're saying that I owe you something. And your Texas code require a capias, but a capias fails to be a warrant. This has given me great evidence against you and your Deer Park Cash Cow LLC handlers and your intent to engage in multiple felonies, official oppression, mail fraud, sending threatening mail, impersonation, perjury of oath, and more. It's amazing. After I sent this to them, they never sent me anything after that, but they just didn't send me the letter filled out, so I had to finish it. And so there's the proof of service for Karen Randolph, and there is the bought and paid for clerk masquerading as judge, and there is the liar. Well, I meant the attorney, not the liar. Anyways, now this is the final notice of default. So there's 3 of them that you do. You are in default in providing the method of payment, and you are notified that your attorneys have failed to complete this form that was filed on 24th of January 2020. A notice of default and opportunity to cure was served on you on or about 24th of January 2020, and you have failed to respond to that as well. This is an effort to pay a debt. I need to know how to lawfully satisfy this requirement. I have attached a copy for your reference. I have been receiving your threatening mail, which demonstrates you intend to conspire together to threaten me, coerce me, oppress me, injure me in the free exercise of my right to lawfully take care of this matter, since you're saying that I owe you something. Your Texas codes require a capias, but a capias fails to be a warrant. This is your final notice of default, and your failure to provide the required information means that I owe nothing. And there's the proof of service. This one is to the bought and paid for clerk, the whore masquerading as a judge. This one's the clerk, and this is the liar. I have exclusive content available on my website and on Patreon. My website has 2 subscription levels, and I accept cryptocurrencies. The basic subscription level is for videos only. The platinum subscription level is for videos plus unlimited consultations. But, you know, in all honesty, even the unlimited consultations have their limits, because I'm not a liar. Well, I meant an attorney. No, I meant a liar. But I can tell you what I would do under certain circumstances and where to find the forms. The only power that these New World Order Satanists have over us is through fraud and deception, and my agenda is to expose it for all our benefit, but I cannot fight all the fights. So if you want to buy a subscription as a donation, it's all appreciated. It's a modest donation, there's no doubt about it, but every little bit helps. A whole bunch of people chipping in a little bit, it makes a lot of difference. Anyway, some of the exclusive content and the Patreon content is Arlington Private Information Share, Land Deed Training, Estoppel Certificates Training, Foreclosure Estoppel Certificates Training, Corporate Denial Training, Toll Roads Notice and Demand Training, Invoice Training, Notice of Void Judgment Training, Revocation of Signature Training, Third Party Witness Training, Federal Habeas Corpus Training, Revocation of Voter Registration Training, Criminal Complaint Training, Lawsuit Training, Other Training. Now, yeah, requests depending on what it is if I haven't already done it. I've done just about everything I can think of, although I got a few things I'm working on right now. Anyways. There's also Northeast Private Information Share videos. All forms, files, and other instructions are available for free on my 2 private groups. Well, it's actually on my private group at groups.io and on my website. Okay, so all forms, files, and other instructions are available on my website or on that group at .io. All exclusive content's available on my website, and you can buy a subscription there. And that's my Patreon channel if you want to, you know, get access it there. So this is their answer. Case closed. They'll find a reason and make it all disappear. So my contact information, let's see here. Well, we didn't get in, I didn't blow this up, did I? Okay, so we'll read it. The enclosed appeal filing has been returned due to Texas Government Code. In order to perfect an appeal, the appellant must file a written notice for motion for new trial with the municipal clerk not later than the 10th day after the date on which the judgment's rendered. So I guess I didn't do that. So they're using that as an excuse. See, that's what they do. Okay? They make literally millions of codes, rules, and regulations, and if you don't follow some obscure code, rule, or regulation, they'll deny you justice. I mean, that's the whole purpose of all of this stuff, is to deny you justice. That's the whole purpose of it. So that's why I just use the Form 1020. And so they use this as an excuse to, but continue reading this. If you have any questions, feel free to call at the number listed below. And that's Karen Randall, the court clerk. And here is another letter they put. It says, you're hereby notified that the Colleyville Municipal Court transferred your case up to the Tarrant County Court of Appeals, and that was rejected. Please see attached letter for the reasoning from Tarrant County Courts. This case has been time served by the municipal court judge and closed in full. So they closed it. And so, gee. Anyways, so it all went away. So contact information. My blog is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. My website is www.sovereigntyinternational.fyi. My email address is engineerwin@yahoo.com. My YouTube profile, Sovereign Living. My Facebook community page, I deleted it due to censorship on the part of Facebook. My private group called Sovereignty International is being deleted. Actually, I haven't been on Facebook in months. I'm not interested in going there. There's other people handling that there. And Facebook is just a censorship scam is all it is. And so I don't even go there. My Yahoo private group called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. My Google private group is called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. And I have a new group called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants at groups.io. Now, the reason I set that up is because Yahoo went and deleted all my files off it. And this groups.io, excuse me, offers a gigabyte of storage for files. So I've got a bunch of files there, but I've also got a bunch of files on my website. Follow me on Twitter at Engineer Win. Follow me on Steemit at Sovereignty International, and I have a BitChute profile, but BitChute only allows 500 megabyte files at the max, and so a lot of my files are bigger than that. So I don't have anywhere near all my videos uploaded to BitChute. And there's my Patreon channel, Sovereignty International. So another one. This is another one, and this is Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector. It's amazing. This one, you know, they were sending me these. Well, I wonder if I got one here. Oh, I do. Okay, we'll get it. We'll get it in a second. So Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector. Notice to attorneys at Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector, an attorney or a private corporation to see that any it is the obligation of the attorney or private to see that any alleged fines, fees, taxes, charges, etc. are collected lawfully, correctly, and completely. It's got all the same text. Matter of fact, I just do replace in Microsoft Word, and I replace the name. And notice this one's for Texas American Holdings too, so it's a fictitious entity. It's always a fictitious entity anyways, and it's amazing how it works. I did it with the IRS with a LLC, and haven't heard a peep out of them since. Anyway, so it's all, I just do replace. And so then under the caption, if paid by February 2020, what does the number 471.14 refer to? And then also under the caption, if paid by March 2020, what does the numbers 473.77 refer to? So it's the same form. I mean, it works. Anyways, and then I have the same attorney statements, and the same at the end there about if you don't answer, you're thieves. And this is what they were sending me. They sent me these pink letters. Enforcement of tax lien. Lawsuits are being filed against taxpayers who have not paid their taxes. See, they never tell me they're going to file a lawsuit. They're just telling me they might. This has been going on for like 5 years. And I filed criminal complaints against them and stuff like that, so they just don't want to talk to me at all. And but they send these things out. Matter of fact, they get the liars to send it out. You notice that? It's from, where is it? Well, that one actually is not sent by lawyers. But, oh, yes, it's Lineberger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, LLP, attorneys at law. And so it says, lawsuits are being filed against taxpayers who have not paid their taxes. Your delinquent account is being considered for a lawsuit to enforce the Malakoff ISD tax lien. To avoid litigation and possible forced sale, you must pay the full amount due. They've been sending me these same things for like years. And to avoid delay and error in posting, please return the taxes aren't very much, and it's only added up over like 5 years to $471, so it's not that much anyways. But anyways, but I built filed criminal complaints against them, and I've done all sorts of stuff. What I did was I transferred the property from the American Engineering Services, or no, Texas American Holdings. I transferred it to me, and then I sent the deed to the county recorder. But I didn't include the filing fee, and so they didn't file it. They sent it back, and so I had all my proof. I sent it by registered mail. So then they started doing this. So then I filed a criminal complaint against them and said that that I'm the one that owns the land. Here's a copy of the deed. The county recorder refused to file it, and if you mess with it, I'll sue your butt off. Anyways, so this is what they sent me. To avoid delay and error in posting, to avoid litigation and possible forced sale, you must pay the full amount. And so this is a pink letter. It's very threatening and all that stuff. Anyways, so that was the Form 1020, right? And then there's the Notice of Default and Opportunity to Cure. And you're in default to providing a payment method, but get a load of this. This is interesting because this particular debt, they all of a sudden went silent. Okay, and so this here, watch what happens with this. This one I sent by certified mail. The other one I only sent by 3-cent mail. Okay, so it's just I didn't put it by certified mail or anything, but it did what it needed to do. These ones I sent by certified mail. You're in default of providing a method of payment. You're notified that your attorneys have failed to complete this form, and which was filed on 6 March 2020. This is an effort to pay a debt. If you don't, and to lawfully satisfy this requirement, I've attached a copy for your reference. I've been receiving your threatening mail, which demonstrates you intend to conspire together to threaten me, coerce me, oppress me, and injure me in the free exercise of my right to lawfully take care of this matter. Since you're saying that I owe you something, this is giving me great evidence against you and your intent to engage in multiple felonies, official oppression, mail fraud, sending threatening mail, impersonation, perjury of oath, and more. Have a great day! Have fun with it, eh? Anyways, and this is, see, you send a copy, so this is the one that I sent before. Oh, no. Actually, what happened is, this is the Notice of Default on the pink one, okay, and then I sent a new one. And this is the new one. Let's see, yeah, because I sent it by certified mail. And it's all the same text. And this is what they sent me, okay? And this, notice this, did I blow it up? No, I didn't. Okay. Anyways, this one is white. And it doesn't say threatening anything about any tax liens. It says, reminder of unpaid property taxes. It's completely different, and it's for, because the other one was for the school district, and this one is for the tax assessor collector, I think. Yeah, it's the tax assessor, and so this one is $245. So you break it down into 2 parts, and they send you one for the school district and one for the tax assessor. And so this is the tax assessor, and it's a different amount. So they have gone completely silent, and now they're talking nice on this one. Anyway, so they probably won't even, after now that I send this one, then I won't hear nothing from them again, probably. But if not, I mean, I know what to do. Do the Notice of Default. I don't notice a final Notice of Default. I don't owe you anything. So check out my other videos, the Bankster Thieves playlist, Roman Cult playlist, Bankrupt Corporate So-Called Governments, Bar Members 1 through 5, Do-It-Yourself, How Not to Volunteer for the Selective Service in the Draft, Martial Laws Here, Do-It-Yourself No Income Tax, Do-It-Yourself Free Mail 1 and 2, Do-It-Yourself Kangaroo Courts 1 through 17, actually it's 1 through 19 now, Canada Border Pigs playlist, Bar Members and their Satanic Connections playlist. So this is the international law, the Uniform Commercial Code, which is considered private international law. Okay, this is all international law. If tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument and the tender is refused, there's discharge. See? That's the power of it, okay? I want to pay it. I'll pay it right now. Tell me what to pay. They'll never tell you. Carrie tells me a story where he said to the judge, I want to pay. Tell me what to pay. And the judge, and then he says, will you take what they take down at Albertsons? And the judge says, yeah, we'll take what they take down there, because they wouldn't tell him. And so he goes down and he gets a bunch of coupons, and he brings the coupons, a bag of them back, and he says, and if you take them there on Wednesday, you get 4 times coupons. So and sometimes he'll say I'll pay you double if you sign this form. Anyways, once you build your case and collect your evidence, use it to file judicial complaints and bar complaints against the liars. Absolutely. And the judicial complaints are for perjury of oath and being thieves. The bar complaints are for perjury of oath, representing you without authority and being thieves. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like to show up in municipal court and get the name of their attorney or their liar, so I have a name to file bar complaints against. Sometimes I file my nastygrams and make sure and copy everybody and their brother into it. And if you want to know about my nastygrams, I've got some YouTube videos called Intervention. So check those ones out. They're demonetized because it's lots of 4-letter words in there. Those will be the topics of upcoming videos. Okay, so how to file bar complaints, and I've already got one on judicial complaints. I'm doing a bar complaint right now. But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hands. So I consider myself a watchman, and now you're a watchman. Either you're part of the problem or you're a part of the solution. You're now a watchman. Circulate this video far and wide. At some point, we'll all be forced to do something. Anyways, that's it. That's the end of this one. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it, and I hope you got something out of it. Send me an email for the forum. I'll be glad to send it to you. But other than that, I expect everybody to go to the website and to the group and get all the forms and stuff that they need. I might upload the form to the group. I think the problem is the group is getting full. It's getting close to the limit, and so they're sending me emails saying they're going to cut it off, or as far as the limits, you know, or they'll start deleting old emails is probably what they'll do. But so the bottom line is that check the group first, please. And I don't like getting any more emails than I have to. I mean, I have a canned response that I send out to people normally, and it says that everything you need is free at these groups, and I give you addresses and all this other stuff. And then if you want any personal attention, want my attention to any matter, then I need a donation. So, but if I haven't uploaded this to the group, then I will, I'll send you the file. But I'm thinking I'm going to upload it to the group, so then I don't have to, so that I can send my canned response. But anyways, appreciate you watching. Have a great day.